Good evening. It's a Friday, and welcome to tonight's edition of Diamond Live. We're so happy that you make the time to join us Monday, Wednesdays, and Fridays. We're glad we're back here on Friday. I'm Cheswa Kapasa,
and I'm Jimwega Chileshe. Good to be here on a Friday night. So it's exciting to do the show on a Friday night because there's a lot to cover from the week, from the day, and also interacting with you through our online platforms. We are live on our Facebook page right now. Diamond TV Online, you can leave a comment to let us know what your thoughts are around the conversations we'll be having with the different guests that we have tonight.
Well, we'd like to start the show, as we always do, with Today in a Snap. Later on the show, we're going to be joined by Citizens First President Harry Kalaba. He's going to be joining us on the show this evening. There was a lot of youth today at the Mulungushi International Conference Center. I saw a lot of them, just going to meet the president. Very exciting for many of them. We saw quite many expectations from the young people, from what they want. But the president spoke about not expecting much in terms of jobs. People need to leverage more on opportunities, and that's according to what the president said. I guess it just emphasizes the need to look beyond just the white-collar job. That's what he was talking about today.
And I think one of the standout directives that stood out from today for a lot of people is his statement on youths who take on internship. I think this has been quite a very popular subject for a lot of young people, because you have a lot of young people who get into some of these jobs or want to get certain jobs, and they cannot do that because they do not have enough experience, and it just makes it hard for them to leverage on some of these opportunities. But the president spoke towards that and giving a directive to his government officials, to the ministers, to the senior government officials, to take youths as interns, and not just that, the conversation around interns getting paid has been another one, and the fact that he spoke towards this as well made a lot of young people happy. This ceremony in itself, you can understand the excitement that it brings for so many young people. You have the Republican president there, so you have somebody who's hearing your concerns directly. It's not through a messenger, it's not through one of his appointees, but it's him hearing what your concerns are, what you have to say about a number of these issues. I remember in 2024, I was privileged to be the director of programs at the National Youth Indaba, which was officiated by the Republican president. So I got to see this firsthand.
A good opportunity for you as a young person as well.
Yes, great opportunity. Having ability
lots of cash. It's a good opportunity. No, seriously. I think that these are opportunities that we need. You emceeing, leveraging on those opportunities, and I'm glad that we're talking about many more opportunities aside, what the youth were talking about there. But the president also spoke about some of the things that his government has been able to provide. He spoke about the thousands of nurses that are young people that have been, empowered, that have been employed. He talked about those that have been employed in Zambia National Service. And I think you remember even when one of his sons, was when there was that trending story about his son joining the Zambia National Service. There's a lot of uproar around that. But it's good that we're heading that direction. People need to just look beyond being the nurse or medical doctor, but look into entrepreneurship as well. And
just on that, Cheswa, I've seen what the opportunities have done. You're talking about myself, but it was more than myself. There are youths, for example, like Ruth Ngoma. It was at that same event, and I was not sitting too far away from her, at that same event that she raised the question to the Republican president. I remember he did a Q&A. I'm not sure if he did that this year.
He actually did one today.
He did another one today. Quite brave of him, because he took time to have that conversation with different youths, and the microphones were going randomly at people, and people asking questions, and he gets to respond. I remember in 2024, Ruth Ngoma had asked a question to him, and he made a commitment to her that saw even fly out to the United States of America. And I think for those who follow her would agree that her life has changed. There's so many opportunities that have, come her way, and doors that have opened just out of that. And it's the fact that commitments can be honored. It's not just lip service, but you have different young people who will see doors opening for them. And this comes a few days or weeks after we saw students as well, young people endorsing him from the Copper Belt.
Well, many opportunities for young people, but one such sector equally, Chimweka, that we should be talking about that continues to shape Zambia's economy is mining. But the biggest question here is, are young people truly tapping into the opportunities the sector offers beyond employment through entrepreneurship, investment, and you can also talk about innovation. And well, tonight we explore that conversation with Nkandu Belts. She's a Zambian-born, Perth-based entrepreneur and the founding director of Belts Mining Limited, a company involved in copper exploration in Zambia. She's also an award-winning business leader and an author of 3 books and a media personality as well. She is joining us here this evening. It's a pleasure to meet you. I've seen you on some of our programs, but I think I'm meeting you for the very first time this evening, and thank you so much for making time to join us.
Well, thank you very much for having me, and good evening.
Well, I mean, I think you saw the numbers at Mulungushi Conference Center there. The Youth Indab has officially opened ahead of the celebrations of Youth Day that come through on Thursday. Now, this year's Youth Week is themed Arise and Soar. I mean, you heard the Minister there of Youth just emphasizing the theme. Do you believe Zambian youths are rising to the, current opportunities available, especially in the mining sector?
Absolutely. I think the Zambian youth are rising. They're taking up the call that has been called, for them. But we have seen that the numbers, are not where we would like them to be. The numbers are still quite low. So at the moment, when we look at the participation, especially for the women, it's very, very low in our mining sector. But I'm very happy to see what's happening, especially, looking at the footage and just the call to action from the president about, youth participation in the sector, and also the value addition chain as well, because that's where the employment opportunities are going to come from. And as we know, more than 60% of the Commonwealth population is youth. And in the next few years, these young people will need jobs. So where would these jobs come from? We have to create them. Yeah.
Many young people also think mining opportunities are limited to just, the large, corporations. What areas really do you think the young people can begin to look at?
Well, I think the areas that the young people can start to look at, it's more on the value addition. So, and I always say, like, for example, look at us, right, as Belts Mining Limited with our subsidiary here in Zambia, Kopano Mineral Resources, yeah? So for every person that we employ in the sector, we have 3 other indirect jobs that are created. So let's say, for example, when we open our project in Dola and you create jobs for 10,000 people, we will have 40,000 indirect jobs. So what do those 40,000 indirect jobs look like? We need people to clean. We need plumbers. We need electricians. We need nutritionists. We need counselors. So these are some of the areas that, young people have to sort of look at and, use the technology, ChatGTP, what sectors are available in the mining, sector other than being a geologist and a metallurgist and a geophysicist. There's quite a lot here. So, and what I love about our industry is that, this is a place or a job, for everyone, so you can have somebody who is not completely skilled to somebody who is a, PhD holder. There's jobs for everyone. Yeah.
Let's get back to the issue of women in mining. I mean, this Sunday is going to be International Women's Day. Yes. And we hear a lot of this saying, what a man can do, a woman can do too, and all of that. When we talk about women in mining, are we talking about any position, any job in mining? Because if we bring it back to Zambia, for example, I think there's a lot of myths, there's a lot of perceptions around women in mining, especially when you talk about the groundwork.
Yes.
You know, for example, if it's going into the pits, and so on. People have certain thoughts that sometimes you can't find minerals if a woman is next to you, and these are certain sayings that no, this is a real thing. It's a real thing.
It's a myth.
That women are not allowed anywhere near the scene.
Yeah.
And that's probably why if you see a lot of people tend to keep women away from some of these activities. What are your thoughts on this?
Well, I think it's absolutely nonsense. I'm sorry to say this on live television, right? But these myths are the ones that are actually hindering us from being progressive. So Zambia has been Zambia has been mining for slightly over 100 years.
Yes, yes.
And we've been celebrating International Women's Day for 110 years. And then when you look at the numbers of women participation in Zambia, they're very, very low. And what we need to realize is that, you know, mining is a job just like any other job. It's a business. So women need to actively participate in this sector. You know, let's look at it this way. See, mine is a four-legged, table. We need the technical side of things. So like you're saying, you know, the women cannot be in the tunnels for safety issues, but things have improved now, so they can be in there. You know, and then we're looking at the legal side of things as well, because mining is a business, so we do need lawyers, and we need lawyers with, you know, so women can do that as well, you know, and then the finance aspects as well, you know. There are women who are very, very good with finances and who can be chief, you know, financial officers as well. And then there's the ESG component, because we need to look after our environment. So all these areas, they do need women as well. So when we say, oh, if we cannot have a woman on site because we're not going to find copper, that is not true. You know, because there's been moments where we've gone and done exploration, and I'm there and we find something.
We find something.
Yes.
But do you think that also one of the problems is the women themselves, that they are not showing as much interest? Maybe they believe in those same myths that they've been told. That is why a good number of them are not availing themselves as much. Or maybe they just think this has predominantly been for men, so let the men do it. Let's focus on other areas.
Well, the best way to disempower a people is to tell them that they're inferior, right? And this is what the industry has done, you know, where there's all these stories that have been created that women are not good at something, or women can't be in these places. But we can be in those places, and we can add value, you know, to the industry. And we are seeing that because we are doing it. So let's say, for example, in Australia, where I have lived more than half of my life, we have Gina Reinhardt, you know, and she's one of the biggest producers of iron ore. She's a woman, and she's doing very well. She's employed thousands and thousands of people, and contributing to the Australian economy. And not only that, but also contributing to charity and then taxes. So why can't we have a Zambian Gina Reinhardt? Why can't we have a Zambian Msonda, you know, running one of the biggest projects in Zambia? Why can't we have Nkandu running one of the biggest projects in Zambia? So it's not so much about, you know, it's about the intellect. Do we have the capacity to actually do these jobs? You know, and I feel like women should not be in the sector because we are women. No, we want to be in the sector because we add value. We bring something to the table. And if you deny us a seat at the table, I kid you not, we will make our own table.
Absolutely. I mean, the target seems huge for government. I mean, they did announce that they have a target of producing 1 million metric tons of copper this year alone. How achievable are this? Do you think that, I mean, you've been in the sector for a while now. Are these realistic targets that government seems to be setting?
Well, initially when I heard about it, I thought, that's being too ambitious. But then when you look at the numbers, and you know, numbers don't lie. Yes, it is actually a very realistic target. And we've also seen the target of reaching the 3 million metric tons, you know, by 2032 or so. We can actually achieve that and go beyond that. You know why? Because Zambia is one of the largest producers of copper. And we've seen that, you know, with the recent exploration and mapping that's happening, we're beginning to understand the mineralization much, much better. So to get to that tonnage, it's not only the big mines that will contribute to it, but it's also smaller players like us, so we will also contribute to that, 3 million metric tons. This year probably not, because we are still in exploration, but once we fast track our project to production, we can contribute to that. And that's also, which is a very exciting thing, being National Youth Week, because that means that by the time the young people are finishing uni, there'll be jobs ready for them. And these are the internships that you were talking about earlier,
It's interesting to say that, because the Minister of Mines and Minerals Development, Mr. Paul Kabuswe, has actually projected that they will surpass the target, making reference to FQM Trident coming back on board, even bringing in new mines such as Kitumba Mine, among others, and the energy sector stabilizing compared to how it was last year. So it'll be interesting to see. But one of the biggest conversations that comes up when you talk about mining is the benefit that comes to Zambians. I know quite recently we can talk about how the Kwacha has been performing, and this has been directly linked to foreign exchange coming through from increased copper production, employment that we've also seen, people getting more jobs and so on. But the conversation that comes up is the investors or the equity partners get a huge chunk of the share, and Zambians are left with very little of what they should really be getting. What are your thoughts on this conversation?
I'm actually glad that you brought this up, because the reason why I got into the mining sector was actually looking at and mapping the whole industry. So I used to be in media, I have a media background. And so I was doing a segment on Africa Down Under, which is one of Australia's largest conference with a primary focus on African minerals, and its development and advancement. So for me, it was, how do we seriously talk about, the advancement of African minerals if we do not have Africans at the decision-making table? So that's how I managed to sort of, okay, let me see and what I can do for my country and for my people. So when we talk about, foreign investors having a huge chunk of the pie, it's because we are not participating, in those mineral development. So mining itself, it's capital intensive. Yes, we are the custodians of the land and we hold the minerals, but we can't take those minerals out without investors. So we need to find a win-win situation or a solution where we go, okay, how do Zambians, how do we participate? How does mom and dad, how do they participate in this? It's by, actively buying shares in those mines. But as you know, a lot of these companies are listed outside. So that's why people like me have come back home. We are here. And the idea is, to list on the Lusaka Stock Exchange. When we do that, mom and dad and my aunties and my uncles and my neighbors, they will be able to buy stock. And that is how Zambians are actually going to hold equity, because we cannot hold it if we do not participate and do not add something to it.
So in a nutshell, the government is not to blame for this. Because I see people put the blame on the government. They say they're selling out our mines, they're giving out our mines to foreign investors. So can the government be blamed for this?
Well, it is easy to blame somebody when we are not doing something about it. And it's also easy to blame the government when we are not the ones that are leading or the ones at the table. But for me, I could have been the person to go, okay, why am I not a shareholder in certain mines? But what did I decide to do? I decided to set it up. And by setting up in a way that, we can have more Zambians and create a mine that's owned by Zambians. So it's what are we doing about it? The government's job is to make sure that, they create frameworks and an environment that is conducive enough for us to work. That's their job. And then for us who are entrepreneurs, we're the ones that create the jobs. Yeah.
Kando Belts, thank you so much for having made time to join us on this edition of Diamond Live. I was going to ask just before we let you go, are you mentoring any young girls? If so, how many? How many girls are we looking? Oh, but not just girls, but those that are interested in mining. I mean, there's a lot of young people there at the Indaba today. So many ideas. I think that there's going to be many other exhibitions that are happening. There's so many young people doing different kinds of stuff. There are others that could be looking up to you.
Yes.
And want to tap into some of the opportunities that you have.
Absolutely. There's quite a lot of opportunities out there. And like I said, you know, with every direct job that's created in the mining sectors, there's 3 others that are indirect jobs that are created. But in terms of mentorship, yes, I do quite a lot of public speaking. I'm a writer. I write. So those that are willing to read, they can read. And they'll be able to get some of my nuggets and my experiences in the sector. Yeah, I have got an open door policy. So we have a lot of young people that will come in, not only Zambia, but also just from around the world that will be asking for advice. I will provide the advice when I can and the guidance. And if I can't, I will find somebody who can do it for you. You know, there's this saying which they say, teach a man to fish and you will feed him for a lifetime. And I think we need to take it a notch further and say, you know, teach a man how to own the fish pond and then let them feed multiple generations. And that's what I want to do with this sector.
Nice. Well put.
Well, thank you so much for having made time to join us, Nkandu, and wish you all the best.
Thank you very much for having me.
Well, been talking to Nkandu Belts. She is the founder of Belts Mining Limited. We're going to be speaking with Harry Kalaba. He is the Citizens First leader. Join us back shortly.
Meet Lucy, a dedicated professional. Her days are filled with meetings and deadlines, but there is one thing on her mind: getting motor insurance for her brand new car.
But I need to get my insurance done though.
As Lucy begins her car journey, excitement fills the air. But she knows there is something crucial missing: safety and protection. The fear of being pulled over by traffic police looms over Lucy. She dreads the complicated and time-consuming process of getting insurance. Will she find a solution? Enters MGen on my WhatsApp. Just a chat away, this service transforms the way you buy motor insurance. It's not just efficient, it's also extremely convenient. With MGen on my WhatsApp, Lucy can now focus on what truly matters: her journey, her ambition. Insurance simplified. Text HI to MGen on my WhatsApp to easily buy, renew, or validate your insurance. When it's worth it, it's worth talking about.
Pascal's showing his boss the efficient new technology they've installed. She is pleased, but now she's asking, why is that still there? Pascal explains that the wells can store many, many messages. The boss is not so pleased anymore. If you haven't upgraded your contact center yet, it's time to get business done better with MTN Business.
From Turtle Industries, it is the touch of Turtle tiles and bricks that brings life, uniqueness, quality, and durability to the different spaces of your environment. We manufacture, deliver, and install quality curbs, paving bricks, paving tiles, concrete tiles, swimming pool copings, and spoon drains. Choose your styles, colors, sizes, shapes, and patterns, just the way your desired branding and outlook should be. Our products are well tested for durability in domestic and commercial environments. Call us on 0211-286064 or WhatsApp 09755-79558. Email info@uniturtle.com. Visit the website on www.uniturtle.com. Turtle Tiles and Bricks, paving the nation by Turtle Industries.
The digital migration continues, and Africa is at the verge of the new digital rise.
There is a new generation of leaders who are challenging the status quo.
They see more than just today's business challenges. They see tomorrow's solutions.
Who said we couldn't build a state-of-the-art data center to house thousands of digital businesses in the cloud hosted right here in Zambia?
Zambia is on a new digital migration, and we are leading the herd of businesses to profit. Are you bold enough to reinvent your business?
I give my life, so let's begin with yours. Grow up, my child. I'll do my best to guard your flame. Live out your dream. The world is there for you to take. Grow up, my child. Enjoy your life and feel the joy.
Delight baby cereal. Great start for little tummies.
Welcome back to Diamond Live. Well, the phone lines are open and you can call in and engage on tonight's edition of Diamond Live. The 2026 National Youth Indaba has officially opened, with President Hichilema just emphasizing youth empowerment, skills development, entrepreneurship as pillars for Zambia's future. But as conversations around youth development also continue, questions are also being raised about the effectiveness of current policies, the state of the economy, governance issues, and the broader political environment, especially as we head towards the the August general elections. We'd like to unpack these issues with the Citizens First President, Mr. Harry Kalaba, who is joining us virtually. Mr. Kalaba, thank you so much for making time to join us on Diamond Live.
Well, thank you very much for having me. I'm happy to see both of you.
Well, let's start with the National Youth Indaba that has opened this week. Of course, the much anticipated Youth Day celebrations are on Thursday. The president spoke about youth empowerment. He spoke about quite many things, that the UPND government has employed youth in the Zambia National Service. There's thousands of nurses that have been employed. There's thousands of medical doctors. There's thousands of teachers. There's much of job creation that also has been created by the UPND government. How have you taken this message as the Citizens First Party?
Well, I will tell you for sure that the message from the president was way below what I expected to hear. The president is talking about empowering the youths using government-created positions. What should happen is that the president should have been telling us about how many jobs he has created in the private sector for the young ones. We needed to hear statistics of how many youths have gotten loans from the Citizens Economic Empowerment Commission. We needed to also know how many youths have been helped to start up their own businesses and what government has done to ensure that the private sector or the environment is enabling for the young ones to begin up their own enterprises. This is what I expected to hear, but clearly you can hear that the president has had no plans for the youths, and you can tell from his speech relying on government-created jobs to indicate that he has done something for the youths. But clearly the youths have been forgotten by this government, and it is so sad because the youths must be the backbone of any nation, which we are not seeing currently in the current dispensation.
Well, the youth seemed very happy at the end of it today. I mean, they were thanking the president. In fact,
those are organized.
The president was speaking about not relying so much on the white-collar jobs, but relying on opportunities.
Papa, I will tell you that one of the things that really disappoints me with the current government is that they play politics at every point. They want to play politics even with things that really are very critical. The youths they are talking about as having been happy are youths that have been brought together by the UPND, youths that have been told to say what they should say and create an impression that the youths in the country are happy. But I can tell you for sure, the youths are in a state of despair. The youths are not happy with what is going on in our country because they've been left behind. The youths are only used when it comes to political issues, but never taken on board when it's issues of empowerment. And the youths themselves know that. So no amount of rhetoric or no amount of window dressing is going to help the situation. The youths in our country have been left behind. And this is one thing that we intend to take up very seriously, ourselves as Citizens First, when we come into government this year, because we know very well that any serious government that talks about youth empowerment must not just be rhetoric, but they should learn to walk the talk. This government talks the talk and never walks the talk.
Now, what is your alternative as Citizens First? What will be your core priorities when you take over office on issues that have to do with youth empowerment and job creation specifically?
Our manifesto speaks to that very well, because when you read the CF manifesto, the youth industry, I want to call it, is directly under the office of the president. Why have we done that? We have done that because we need to harness the potential that lies within there. We have also said we are going to go ahead as Citizens First to ensure that the private sector, especially institutions such as the Citizens Economic Empowerment Commission, must be speaking to the needs and aspirations of the young ones. They must look out for which young ones are doing well in Western Province, which young ones can help the economy in Eastern Province, what skills have we identified in the young ones that are going to emancipate our economy. That is what we're going to do. This is what countries like Malaysia are doing. This is what countries like Singapore are doing. It is not happening here. So for us as Citizens First, we believe that an empowered youth is an empowered nation.
No.
And so the youths...
Mr. Kalaba, I'd like to find out, when you talk about the youths and this government not meeting the expectations of the youths, yes, the president may have spoken towards the recruitment exercise and processes that have taken place. But what generally this government has pointed out is issues, for example, meal allowances being restored to the youths in universities. They've spoken about the employment opportunities that have resulted in what they've described as the revival of the mining sector. They've spoken about Constituency Development Fund, and it's got a component where there are young people who've been taken to certain skills training centers. They've been empowered through their skills, getting certain documentation to prove that they've undergone some of these processes. Even the Citizens Economic Empowerment Fund commission that you speak of, in collaboration with the Ministry of Small and Medium Enterprises, there've been programs as well to empower young people in that regard. So even just with these examples here, would it be true to say that this government has let down the youths?
You know, all these examples you have given, my brother, all these examples you have given have all proved to be academic in the long run. Clearly, you know as well as I know, Chimweka, that the CDF we're talking about has never been for the youths. You talk about Constituency Development Fund as if it is one which has opened the avenues for the youths to see the economic emancipation. That is not the story. CDF is an academic exercise that has been talked about. The youths themselves have to struggle to access that kind of money. What we want to see youths being empowered is a situation where we talk about agriculture. How many youths have been given startup capitals in agriculture where they can start their own farms, where they can start growing maize, growing all kinds of things, cashew nuts or sunflower, in order to grow the economy? We don't have records to that effect. So when you hear a government speaking about CDF, as if CDF is what is manna from heaven, then you realize that our youths have been left behind. And this is what we are seeing. Sorry about that. I mean,
just
let
to
me
that
finish,
point.
Mweka.
Okay. Please go ahead. You can conclude.
Mweka.
Yes.
I was going to finish by saying, also, you come to a realization that when we talk about the CEC, can they give us percentages of the youths who have access to loans at the Citizens Economic Empowerment Commission? How many have they empowered in 2022? How many were empowered in 2023? How many youths were empowered? Can they give us that list of youths who have been empowered? So we just don't talk to ghost figures. We must talk to statistics. If we talk to statistics, then clearly we will know that our youths have been empowered. Now, when we just mention institutions such as CEC, in order to get away with murder or to get away with talking the talk, it doesn't help the situation. Go to Kalingalinga today. Go to Mtendere today. Go to Linda compound today and see how youths are wallowing in poverty. If it's a government that cared about the youths, the levels of destitution we have seen amongst the young ones would never have occurred. But it's because nothing concerning empowerment is happening in the young ones. Everything happening is political. We want government to realize that youths want real development.
When you talk about CDF, I mean, the loan aspect may be one component, but there's also the component of some of these youths being sent to these skill centers. And we've reported some of these stories as well, where young people have been beneficiaries of this. Another example still on meal allowances. We've now even seen some students endorsing President Hakainde Hichilema, and one thing they're commending him for is the bringing back of meal allowances, and not just to the University of Zambia or the Copperbelt University, but even extending it to other public institutions. Aren't these good examples of the youths being kept in mind through these programs?
Chimweka, you make me laugh, you make me smile. I want to talk about the youths empowering, endorsing Mr. Hichilema for the good works that he has done. Chimweka, you've been there for a very long time. You've been in this profession for a long time, and you've seen it all. You've seen this drama come and go. You've seen past leaders, what they have done with the youths. I mean, they will select certain youths who are vulnerable, certain youths that are in their line, and they will parade them. And they will issue statements like, this man has worked, we have never seen this kind of development being done. I am talking about youths that are in Linda compound. All you need to do is to be a responsible citizen for you to know that youth in this country have been neglected. That's all you need to be. That's why when you see youth being used, that they are parading them. When you have done something for people, how many youths, Chimweka, have been empowered? You and I are speaking in Chiworia compound. How many youths? Today it is this government that is calling the very youths they should be celebrating as junkies. This is the same government calling them as junkies. So on one hand, they're calling them junkies. Then on one hand, they're busy shouting woof when they see a puppy. They're busy saying, oh, we have empowered. They have done nothing. If there has been a time when the youths have lagged behind, in terms of development, it is during this very time of the UPND government. Our youths have not seen any meaningful empowerment. They have not seen it. Before we could even see buses being given to youths, before we could see tractors being given to youths to go into agriculture, what we need to see are youths empowered. We have got a lot of youths today, as you and I are speaking, who are driving what you call these young vehicles. How many of them have been helped by this government? If these youths complain concerning the conditions surrounding younger drivers, they are chased. How many youths have been empowered? For instance, to be in government, even if you want to ask me, how many youths? This country has got 116 districts. 116 districts. How many of those district commissioners, youths have been appointed in those positions? Go and look at the DCs. Very few youths have been appointed, if at all any. You have got 47 or 48 missions abroad, missions abroad for Zambia. How many youths are in those missions? But our youths also, when they just hear that, oh, Mr. Ichidema is going for this program, and they say come, they also go and start saying what he wants to hear. Mr. Ichilema has never loved the youths. Never. He has always used the youths. And that's why this time, our youths must learn to understand that they have been used enough. It is now time for them to kick him out and bring in a fellow youthful person like Harry Kalaba to come and align the youth's interests so that youth can be recognized. You, where you are there, Chimweka, you are a youth, strictly speaking. You, Kapasa, you are a youth. Tell me what empowerment you've been given by this government. Nothing. Because what they should be doing is to even look at institutions like Diamond TV. Diamond TV is being run by very youthful people. But there is nothing that has come that way. So they should not be telling us about this youth story. We are fed up.
But talking about empowerment, I want to take you back to meal allowances, because it seems this is one notable achievement that the UPND government has achieved. And let me just qualify it, Mr. President. I just want to understand. I mean, in literal sense, shouldn't we be commending the UPND government for reintroducing what you, the PF, removed as a cause to have the youth remain vigilant in school? These youth are coming from Linda compound, they're coming from Chiwolia, they go to the University of Zambia, they go to the Copperbelt University, they come from all over the country. And the UPND are saying that we have reintroduced these meal allowances and people can go to school. And now the president was at Kabulonga Boys Secondary School reintroducing a feeding program. Shouldn't these initiatives be praised, even by yourselves in the opposition? Shouldn't we see a child who hasn't eaten at home at least have a meal at school? Shouldn't that student coming from Linda compound have access to that meal allowances that was once removed in the past? Shouldn't we be commending them?
Kapasa, you sound like a youth of UPND who has been fed on.
No, I'm speaking for the youth.
Listen, because already
and I'm impartial, Mr. President. I just want to qualify. I'm not a UPND supporter. Neither am I any political party supporter. I'm impartial, and I want to ask on behalf of the youth that gathered at Mulungushi Conference Center, praising the president that yes, indeed, you have reintroduced meal allowances that the previous government removed. So now we're asking, what is the alternative for the citizens first?
But I've been telling you here, Kapas, and you've been listening to me telling you. And you are there telling me you the PF. I'm not PF, first of all. I am citizens first, point of correction. And so when you begin addressing me like it is a UPND person addressing me maliciously like that, I was
referring the fact that you were once, when the meal allowances were removed, You were in
9 years ago.
You were in government when these meal allowances were removed. That was my point of reference.
So now you clarify that.
Yeah.
Now, look, government has got different departments. Government has got Ministry of Education. They've got Ministry of Foreign Affairs, where I was. Ministry of Education. Now, let's address the issue of the same meal allowances, which you are really taking me back to, and you think that's a huge development which has happened. Can you give me the percentage of the meal allowance students who are receiving vis-a-vis the population of youth that this country has? When we talk about youth empowerment, you just can't take one issue and generalize it that they have worked and therefore we should all be dancing and clapping for the so-called UPND which we're talking about here. The UPND has neglected the youths. If they have done good by bringing back that meal allowance, yes, we acknowledge it, but does it mean that they have empowered youths to emancipate themselves? No, they have not, Kapasa. And I think this prestigious platform you have given me, I'll be doing a disservice to the nation if I go ahead and begin saying, yes, the UPND has done well for the youth, let's all stand up and begin dancing for them. I'm not available for those kind of dances. The UPND has not done justice to the youths in comparison to the promises that they gave the youths. They told us they were going to create employment for the youths. Where is the employment that they have created? We have Indeni in Indola. Indeni refinery was shut down by the UPND. That Indeni was employing youths from the Copper Belt. Now they can't be employed. We as Citizens First are saying what is going to bring economic emancipation for our youths is by the creation of industries all across this country, because we have the potential. What we don't have are leaders who care for the young ones. And we in the CF have recognized the potential of those young ones. So to just get one example of meal allowances, and they're singing about meal allowances. These are students, Kapasa, who are exceptionally intelligent, and give it to them. They have managed to reach the higher level of learning in our country. These are a privileged few. When we look at youths in totality, we must be looking at the demographic of youths in comparison to the kind of benefits that this government is giving them. The youths are a neglected lot. And I refuse to submit or to agree to a notion that we should mislead the country that youths have been looked after by this government, when in fact not. There have been appointments that have been made. Look at the Ministry of Youth and Sports itself, Kapasa. You have not talked about it here while you are seated. You have not said anything about that ministry. You go and get all the people with beards. They're the ones who are running Ministry of Youth and Sports. Where are the youths themselves? Because look at Botswana, what they're doing. When they talk about the Ministry of Youth, it's the youthful person who's running that ministry. Now, you are talking about Ministry of Youth and Sports. You go and talk about Umuntu, and then you bring them and say, Ministry of Youth and Sports.
Are you going to appoint a youth yourself as minister in that capacity?
Of course, it must be a youth. And according to our country, according to the United Nations, one must be between the age of 18 and 35. Then you are a youth. That is the one that should have been minister of a Ministry of Youths. We should have had a permanent secretary who is youthful. We should have a director who is youthful. We should have, but this UPND of Youth Kapasa, they have gotten Abakalamba, they have taken them to that Ministry of Youths. The youths have got no representation whatsoever. We are tired of this. We have to change the narrative.
Mr. Kalaba, let's talk about women participation. Sunday is International Women's Day, and we know that when we talk about women participation, this has been a conversation for years. There's been a call to have more women participate. What does the Citizens First plan on doing to encourage more women to take part in leadership conversations, decision making, and even to encourage them to avail themselves to national leadership?
When you look at the Citizens first of all, even its composition of the Central Committee, more than 50% of our Central Committee is comprised of women. This is almost in tandem with the SADC requirement that it must be gender parity must be observed. And that's what we have done as Citizens First. More than even the SADC requirement. Now, Women's Day comes and goes. And for us as Citizens First, before I even forget, I'm very disappointed. There's something, Chimweka, which is going around social media, that the Ministry of, is it Gender, or the Department of Gender, has given authority to district commissioners. I don't know how true it is. They have given to district commissioners to ask political parties to submit the names of people appearing at the Register of Societies for them to participate in the Women's Day celebrations. If that is true, we as Citizens First are not even prepared to be part of such kind of a sham thing, because it is Women's Day. Let the women manage their day. Don't begin bringing politics in Women's Day. And we want to see women in governance. We want to see women being empowered. We want to see women are the most neglected in this country. They're the most neglected. But since we are here, you'll hear Chimweka from Mukapasa. He'll be telling you, no, there were women that were receiving the president at the airport. There were women that were empowered in the market. Women, those kind of things are not helping the country. What we need is to tell this government that the women have been neglected. The women have been left behind. Women are only called when it suits them, these politicians.
So according to you, which one is worse now? Who is more neglected? Is it the women? Is it the youth? Because earlier you said the youth are the most neglected. So from your observation, who is more neglected here?
I'm saying even our women are neglected in this country. The youths have never been empowered. In terms of empowerment, the youths are neglected. And in terms of empowerment, the women are neglected. And
the UPND say that to ensure more women inclusion, youth inclusion, that is why they advocated for Bill 10 to be signed into law. That's their argument. What are your thoughts on that?
The UPND have used that platform. They have used that platform to just, the Bill 7, as you know, most of the people that were against that. Bill 7, yes, not Bill 10.
Yes.
The Bill 7, as you know, Chimweka, is one of the darkest legislative pieces this country has ever witnessed. And I talk as a former parliamentarian myself. Kapasa is laughing. Kapasa is laughing at all the points that we are giving, because Kapasa is getting indoctrinated by the UPN.
Mr. President, to be honest, I think you're really not being fair with your suggestions. I think we're asking questions on behalf of the people, really. And I'm just smiling because you keep brandishing me as someone who I'm not. I think I'm a professional here, and I'm trying to ask questions on behalf of the people.
You may conclude, Mr. Kalaba.
Kapasa, I'm not even brandishing you as UPND. I'm just trying. You're a professional. I know you very well. That's why I'm even doing this. I've been with you for a long time. All I'm trying to say is don't get indoctrinated. The UPND has got this Chimagos thing in them. If you're not careful with that thing, it can jump on you. And most people now have realized that they don't want to be part of that UPND Chimagos thing. So all I'm saying is the women in this country have not been empowered. Look at the appointments. Do you have a cabinet chart there? We start from there. Do you have a cabinet chart, Chimweka?
Well, it's mentally. Well, we do have it in mind.
If the cabinet chart is mentally in your head, Chimweka, how many women are cabinet ministers? How many women are provincial ministers out of 10? How many women have been sent in foreign mission as ambassadors? How many women? It's even against the SADC protocols that we have signed. And if there's a government that has not empowered women, it is the UPND government.
But getting back
if there's a government that is as good.
Constitutional Amendment Act number 13, they'll argue that this is what it speaks towards, that they have put in place a law that will guarantee more women, more youths, persons with disabilities, seats at the decision-making table. Wouldn't you agree with that?
Now I can also laugh like a passer. When you ask things like that, Chimweka, you know very well, Chimweka, that the president or the UPND did not bring the Bill 7 to the people of Zambia in good faith. Because Mr. Ichilema, previously had powers to nominate 8 members of parliament to the House. How many women did he nominate? That is one. Ask Mr. Ichilema. He had the privilege of appointing 48 ambassadors from Zambia to other countries. How many women did he appoint? Out of 48, he only appointed 9. Mr. Ichilema had the responsibility of appointing permanent secretaries in all ministries. How many women did he appoint? So when he starts coming to you and telling you that, no, I love women, so women must be empowered, it's all talk. I mean, that is him. It's all talk. And now Zambians have come to realize that he's more of a talker than a doer. And that's why they have said we are tired of talking, and the time to kick him out has come in August.
As we're concluding, just turn your attention to another issue. When you talk about the opposition and building up to August 2026 on the 13th, we've been seeing already opinion polls that have been going around. I think there's one opinion poll that was being carried out on Mr. Emmanuel Mwamba's platform, where you were in the lead compared to other candidates or those who've expressed interest to contest in August 2026. You were leading from that opinion poll. How does that make you feel? Is this something that you actually do take into consideration, or is it just a by-the-way opinion poll?
I personally take the opinion poll by Ambassador Mwamba very seriously because that opinion poll is like a dipstick. It's giving us an indicator of our weaknesses and to some extent our strengths. And one of the things I've discovered, Chimweka, from that opinion poll is that humility, I think, amongst all of us, the political players, is key. When I look at the numbers that we are getting, I might have laid in one opinion poll, but you look at the numbers that we are getting. These are not numbers that you can say you are going to defeat a government that is as complicated and anti-people like the one which we have in this country. For me, what now that means is that the desire to hold hands with other political players has even grown much more. I have come to realize that that opinion poll is an eye-opener. We need as citizens first to hold hands with our brothers and sisters in the opposition so that we can become stronger. So yes, I can look strong, or we can look strong on our own like this, but that is not enough. What is sufficient is to hold hands.
And do you see your colleagues in opposition really putting aside their ambitions to either, for example, hold hands with yourself, or maybe yourself considering putting your ambitions aside and holding hands with one of your colleagues in opposition? Because this has also come out from some people that Mr. Harry Kalaba is self-centered and is all about himself. He would not
you're making things up there now.
This has actually come up, and some people have the view that you're not willing to put your ambitions aside to side with other candidates. Would you be able to do that for the sake of that common goal that you say to put this government out of power?
Chimweka, first of all, I want to address the issue of being self-centered. I think, Chimweka, you'll recall that the Citizens First was one of the political parties that were founders of United Kwacha Alliance. You recall that, right?
Yes.
We did that. Does that signify a political party or a person that is self-centered?
Well,
the answer is no.
The argument is that even from that, your expectation was you would be the person to lead that particular alliance. And
is that what I told you? Or you're just making it up the way you're sitting?
These are comments that we've been getting, Mr. Kalaba, and that is the perception of some section of society. That's what we've gotten so far.
Chumweka, those who've been alleging or trying to insinuate, I think, have been very unfair. Because, as you know, Chumweka, I think I personally, I'm a very radical person. And that is why, if you recall, Chumweka, 9 years ago, I stepped down as a foreign affairs minister. It's because when the time comes for me and I see that this thing is not running right, I will call it the way it is. That's why I told you even just a while ago that it is now evidently clear for me that we need to hold hands in order to be stronger. So even when we joined OCA, of course, others could have cast aspersions on me, insinuating that I was trying to be the leader of that umbrella. Of course, you know, Chimweka, that I've got a strong personality by nature. I mean, actually, I've got a strong personality. And so those who have got weaker personalities, they'll always say, look, I mean, Harry wants to bulldoze or wants to do that. But the truth of the matter is, we have always sought unity. Give me a day when you saw any other political leader come to my residence. I mean, none. All that we have been doing ourselves is that we've been reaching out. The other day, I was talking to Comrade Mao Sampa. The other day, I was talking to Comrade Brian. The other day, I was talking to Comrade Fred. The other day, I was talking to Makebi. I was talking to Comrade Lubinda. We have been reaching out to others. All we are doing is to make sure that we find common ground in what we are doing. But you know, Chimweka, where I come from, they'll say, Ushikutemenwe Chimweka. Because there where you are seated, you are a handsome man. But there are people who will say, Chimweka, look at Chimweka, the eyes. And yet your eyes are just okay, but they'll say, look at this man.
So
before we let you go, Mr. Kalaba, some criticism, Chimweka, let me just finish.
Yes.
So some criticism, Chimweka, will accept it. But the truth of the matter is, we are trying our very best to ensure that we strengthen unity. Trying our very best to reach out to others, even when others shun us.
So in the process of strengthening unity, would you consider putting your presidential ambitions aside to back another presidential aspirant from the opposition?
If that is what the people of Zambia demand, why not? If that is what they have asked me to do, why not? I don't mind. I don't mind.
Mr. Kalaba, would like to thank you so much for having made time to join us. We wish you could touch on many other issues. I think we didn't touch on load shedding. I think we wanted to ask you equally about FISIP and so on. But thank you so much. We hope we can make more time next time.
Comrade Kapasa, Comrade Chimweka, guys, thank you so much for hosting me. I'm happy that you considered me today. But you should call me now. We discuss issues of load shedding, because there's this myth going around town that no, load shedding has finished. Load shedding has not finished. Load shedding has not finished. It's because we are going towards elections. So we need to explain this to the people of Zambia so that they can know the truth and we uncover all the lies of our colleagues.
Mr. Kalaba, thank you so much for making time. That's Harry Kalaba, Citizen's first president. He was our guest on this edition of Diamond Live. We thank you so much to those who have been joining us on Channel 271 and those that have tried to call us on this edition. I'm Cheswa Peter Kapasa.
And I'm Chimweka Chileshe. Enjoy the rest of your night.
Goodbye.
Milk. I'm supposed to test these three, and I'm supposed to choose which one is better, right?
Milk is milk, I mean.
I think there's a difference.